We will call to order the special board meeting of the Board of Election Commissioners for the City of Chicago. Good afternoon. My name is Marisol Hernandez. Seated to my left is Commissioner Jonathan Swain, and to my right is Commissioner William Cressy. This is a continuation of the meeting from this morning, which was recessed. Do we have, Mr. Lasker, any possible removal of judges of election?
No, we do not.
Okay. How about a possible court action to address late polling place openings and other potential contingencies?
That we do have. I will be identifying the 5 precincts in 5 different wards that we are going to request that the court keep open until 8 o'clock for an extra hour tonight. Before we get there, though, I want to point out that there are 30 to 40 precincts, at least, that we've been closely monitoring for this issue today. Because of the very last-minute precinct closures in a lot of places, we've had to redirect our election supply carriers, some of which were already delivered to some locations. And then they had to come back and rerouted, and that has caused complications this morning. That's one of the biggest, actually, complications I think that we've been experiencing today, is the delivery of the equipment to some of these precincts that had to change.
Just for the record, and they had to change, the delivery equipment changed, the precincts were changed because of essentially landlords kicking us out of the original locations because of the coronavirus epidemic?
That's correct, yes.
Thank you.
And so there's actually, the saving grace here has been that we got the court order to allow us to keep our early voting sites up and running today. We actually did have one of those 51 sites this morning, I believe. It was just this morning they contacted us to say that they couldn't have us come in. So 50 of our 51 early voting sites, which does happen to be one in every ward, because the 42nd Ward early voting site shut down, wouldn't allow us in today, but our super site is in the 42nd Ward. So we actually had one early voting site in every ward throughout the city. And we have been receiving phone calls at Election Central, and I've been monitoring those reports. We've been receiving other reports from the public. And then we've had our legal counsel on the phone with an election coordinator or an election judge in every single one of those locations now that we've been monitoring. And time again, we're finding 2 consistent things. Excuse me. The judges who did show up today are doing a remarkable job, and so there they are with no equipment delivered, but they're closely monitoring the lines, and we have forms that they're supposed to fill out in this situation to keep track of the voters who are there, to talk with the voters about what their options are, when they can come back, or where they can go. Today, those judges have had the added possibility of sending these voters to the early voting sites. And the vast majority of the voters have been completely understanding and have told the judges, we understand the pressure that you guys are under, and they've been happy to go either to their own ward's early voting site or to whichever one is most convenient for them. And so therefore, because even despite all of the late deliveries that we've had on some of these precincts, no voter's lost the right or their ability to vote. No voter has said in most of these areas, I can neither get to an early voting site, nor can I make it back by 7. And so I'm very pleased that with all of these precincts that we've been tracking today, it's been difficult and it's been challenging, but it's really looking like everyone has had an opportunity to vote. The judges have really stepped up, and so have our voters. Now, that being said, there are 5 precincts we've identified where the cans have come so late, and the numbers of voters who have been turned away have been so great that either we have heard they can't make it to an early voting site, they have to get to work right away, and it's a long enough shift that it's going to be until after 7 o'clock, that we're going to request that the court hold them open late. And that is the 19th precinct of the 15th ward, the 43rd precinct of the 21st ward, the 45th precinct of the 34th ward, the 13th precinct of the 43rd ward, and the 37th precinct of the 46th ward. So that's the status of where we're at on, there were many late openings, but not the need for late closures in most of those places. For these 5, I do recommend that we ask the court for an extra hour. And just so that everyone understands how that works, there is a statute that says that if a court holds a polling place open late, those voters are required to vote a provisional ballot. However, the statute expressly says that that provisional ballot is automatically accepted by us. The reason we know the difference is the statute also requires us to keep them in a separate envelope from any other provisional ballots. So voters might be a little concerned to hear that they vote a provisional. We never like having to have people vote a provisional, but the statute expressly says this one automatically counts. They don't have to come back to us. They don't have to communicate to us in any way after they vote. Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions?
Could I just make a comment? All of our provisional ballots now are voted on the touchscreen. We did not print separate provisional ballots, so they're all on the touchscreen.
And the reason for
And then the
keeping
cards
those,
marked provisional? The cards marked provisional?
That you feed through,
That you feed through.
it prints provisional on it
Right, and so
automatically.
when you program the card to go into the machine, it's programmed as provisional ballot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And it prints provisional on
On
that
top of
second, of the ballot that comes out of the printer.
Yep.
It has provisional on it.
Written on top of it, okay, got it.
and keeping them separate, that's because unlike the other provisional ballots, they don't need to come back with any sort of.
Not all provisional ballots are automatically qualified. These
Right.
ones are automatically
Automatic.
statutorily qualified. But it has to be a provisional. I guess the idea is it wasn't cast during regular hours, let's put it on a provisional that automatically counts.
And if for some reason the court order would be challenged,
That's
that's the
correct.
same thing.
They would
Okay.
be separated, we would
We
always
could
know
read-
which those ballots are.
Very good.
However, we've had many late openings in the past, and it's never been challenged, and let's not forget the statute contemplates that, because it provides for these provisions.
Are there any further questions? Okay, if not, is there a motion to bring these 5 precincts to court for 1 hour later closing? So they would be closing at 8 p.m.
Anybody in line by 8 p.m. gets to vote.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Do we have any further litigation or possible court action to discuss?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, we have no request for public comment at this time, so therefore is there a motion to recess until later this evening?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes and we are recessed.
Adam,